Welcome to 10,000 Labs. So for anyone out there who spends time, coding, scripting, maybe even just managing files, the command line terminal, it's more than just software,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. It's home for a lot of us.
Exactly. It's like the core of the workflow, super efficient, it's everywhere, portable. It's where the real work gets done.
Muscle memory, shortcuts, all that.
Yeah, that kind of focus magic. But let's be honest, it can also be frustrating sometimes.
Definitely. Obscure commands, trying to remember flags.
Right. Endless man pages, or just wishing you could ask it what you need instead of trying to guess the magic words.
We've all been there.
Well, today we're diving deep into something that really looks like it could change that whole experience. Google announced it just this morning, June 25th, 2025. It's called Gemini CLI.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Picture this, an open source AI agent bringing all that Gemini power right into the terminal you already use.
Right there in the workflow.
So our mission today in this deep dive is to really unpack what Gemini CLI is, why it's a big deal for, well, anyone interested in AI tools and development, really. Doesn't matter if you're a pro or just starting out. We want to pull out the most important bits from the announcement. Think of this as your shortcut to getting up to speed on a potentially groundbreaking tool.
That's good.
Okay, let's unpack this. The big question first. What exactly is Gemini CLI, and why are we calling it, a game changer for the command line?
Right. Well, it's pretty much what it says on the tin. It's an open source AI agent, and it brings the raw power of Google's Gemini models straight into your command line interface.
Okay.
But the real innovation, I think, is how direct and simple it is. It makes this incredibly lightweight, seamless path from your prompt, just typing what you want in natural language, straight to the AI model.
Lightweight and direct. I like that.
And crucially, it's not just about writing code. I mean, it's great at that, sure.
Yeah.
But Google's designed it to be really versatile, a sort of local utility. You can use it for, well, a whole range of things. Generating content, solving tricky problems, doing quick research.
Research on the fly.
Yeah, exactly. Or even managing your workflow, like system configurations. It's surprisingly broad.
So it's less like a dedicated coding buddy and more like a general purpose AI brain for the terminal.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
That feels like a really fundamental upgrade then for so many people. Instead of trying to remember arcane flags or digging through docs for some command you use once a year, you're just talking to your environment in plain English. Can you give us maybe a non-coding example where this really changes things in the terminal?
Sure, absolutely. Imagine you're maybe working on a report or something. You need to quickly summarize a long PDF you just downloaded.
Okay.
Or, say, draft an email from a few bullet points someone sent you, all without leaving the terminal, right, where you're already working.
Right, keeping the context.
Exactly. So with Gemini CLI, you could just, pipe the content of that PDF to it and say, summarize this for a non-technical audience.
Ah, nice.
Or draft an email thanking the client for feedback. Use these 3 points. Maybe something even simpler, like find all the really big files in my home directory I haven't touched in a year and list them.
Okay, that last one usually involves some awkward fine command syntax.
Exactly. It bypasses needing specific tools or complex scripts for tasks that are really about, processing information or doing something context-aware. It sort of redefines how you approach tasks in that environment, moving from precise commands to just asking for what you want.
That's a really compelling shift. And thinking about individual developers, what often makes or breaks a tool is how easy it is to access. The cost, the limits.
Always factor.
We've seen powerful AI tools that are, well, pretty strict on usage. This announcement, though, it seems like they're pushing things there.
They really are.
What are the usage limits? Because here's where it gets really interesting for a lot of folks listening.
Indeed. Yeah, this really jumped out. Google's calling them unmatched usage limits for individuals.
Fetched. Okay.
So if you just log in with your personal Google account, the one you use for Gmail or whatever, you automatically get a free Gemini Code Assist license.
A free license just for logging in?
Yep. And this license gives you access to Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Yeah.
And critically, it comes with that massive 1 million token context window.
Whoa. Okay. 1 million tokens. Can you put that in perspective? What does that actually let you do?
It's hard to visualize sometimes.
Yeah.
But imagine feeding Gemini CLI, maybe an entire small to medium-sized code base.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Or maybe several long research papers. Or all your project documentation. All at once.
Okay.
And then you can ask it to analyze it, summarize it, refactor code across files, debug based on that whole context.
Across the entire project scope.
Exactly. That kind of comprehensive understanding, interacting across that huge amount of information. It's something that's basically impossible or incredibly tedious manually. That's where the scale really kicks in. That's the magic.
That is an astonishing amount of context. It almost feels like having this all-seeing assistant for your entire project. But okay, what about hitting the API? How many times can you actually ask it things for free?
Yeah, the request limits. So for free, during this preview period, Google's offering what they say is an industry-leading allowance. You get 60 model requests per minute.
60 per minute.
60 per minute. And 1,000 requests per day.
1,000 a day.
1,000 a day, all at no charge.
Wow.
It's really designed so that, the vast majority of individual users, hobbyists, they'll probably rarely, if ever, hit a limit. You can experiment, use it daily, and not worry about getting a surprise bill.
60 requests a minute and 1,000 a day for free access to 1.5 Pro with that giant context window. That sounds almost too good to be true for individual devs. Are there any hidden catches, or is it really that open for just everyday use? Because that is incredibly generous. It really brings down the barrier.
Honestly, it seems to be genuinely as unrestricted as it sounds for typical individual use, at least during this preview. The main goal seems to be getting it out there, getting broad feedback from the community.
Okay.
Now, obviously for, say, professional developers, teams running multiple agents, maybe people needing enterprise models with specific guarantees, there are paid options.
Right, the commercial side.
Yeah, you can use a Google AI Studio or Vertex AI key that's usage-based billing. Or get a Gemini Code Assist standard or enterprise license.
Yeah.
But for most individuals, hobbyists, that free tier is meant to be practically unlimited. It's a pretty bold move, putting this level of power out there so freely.
It really is. Okay, that's a fantastic foundation then. Generous access is key. So the next question is obvious. What can developers actually do with it? What are the most immediate, powerful ways to start using Gemini CLI in your daily grind? What are the core capabilities right now in this preview?
All right, so in this preview state, it already offers some really powerful AI capabilities right there in your terminal. We're talking first, sophisticated code understand it.
More than just syntax highlighting.
Oh, yeah, much more. It can interpret complex logic, suggest improvements, maybe explain a tricky function in plain English.
Nice.
Then there's seamless file manipulation. So not just listing files, but actually understanding their content, their purpose. It could suggest reorganizing things or find files based on what you mean, not just a file name pattern.
Finding files based on meaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
It also enables direct command execution. You can ask it to run system commands without knowing the exact syntax.
Like show me network traffic.
Something like that, yeah. And maybe the most interesting one, dynamic troubleshooting.
Dynamic troubleshooting, that definitely stands out. I mean, think about those times your build breaks with some cryptic error.
Happens all the time.
Or your script just isn't doing what you expect. Instead of hours digging through logs or Stack Overflow, you could, just paste the error in?
Theoretically, yeah. Paste the error into the terminal and ask Gemini CLI, hey, what's causing this? How do I fix it in my setup?
That's a direct hit on developer productivity right there. That's huge.
Yeah.
How does it actually manage that? These context-aware things. What are the tools underneath?
That's a great question. It points to some smart design, thinking ahead about extensibility. It uses several built-in tools. First, and this is a big one, it can ground prompts with Google Search.
Ground prompts with search, so it can browse the web.
Effectively, yeah. It means the model isn't just stuck with its training data. It can fetch current web pages to get real-time external context.
So for latest library versions or breaking news?
Exactly. Up-to-date info. Crucial. Second, it's designed to be highly extensible. It has built-in support for something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, and it supports bundled extensions too.
Okay, hold on there. You mentioned MCP, Model Context Protocol. For listeners who maybe haven't run into that, what is that exactly? Why is it important that it's included here?
Good catch. Yeah, MCP is sort of an emerging standard. Think of it as a way for AI agents like Gemini CLI to interact with and understand the broader context of your system. Broader context, like
your local files, your environment variables, the shell you're using, maybe even other tools running. It's like a standardized language for the AI to see and get your local setup.
So it's not just a chat bot in a window, it actually knows where it is.
Precisely. It makes it much more integrated. Its inclusion means Gemini CLI isn't this closed box. It's built to work deeply and intelligently with your current setup and with future tools that adopt MCP too.
That's fascinating. Okay, so it's designed to be really aware of its surroundings. That clearly helps with the troubleshooting you mentioned. What else makes it capable?
Well, beyond MCP, you can also customize prompts and instructions. You can tailor Gemini for your specific needs, your workflows.
So,
You can basically fine-tune its behavior, maybe its default tone or instructions for your projects, make it feel like your assistant.
personalize it.
Exactly. And finally, you can automate tasks by calling Gemini CLI non-interactively from scripts.
So you could build it into CI/CD or other automations. Yep. Integrate its intelligence right into your existing pipelines, build processes, maintenance scripts, whatever.
Wow. Okay, the grounding with search, the extensibility with MCP, that means it's not just working off static data. It gets real-time info, integrates deeply. That feels like a game changer for AI tools.
It really does.
And that also speaks to the open and extensible side of things. Google making this open source. That's pretty significant too, isn't it? What's the impact there?
Oh, it's tremendously significant. It's fully open source, Apache 2.0 license. And that's not just, a nice gesture.
Right.
It means developers can actually look at the code, understand how it works, and importantly, verify the security side of things themselves.
Transparency.
Exactly.
Again.
Google isn't just dropping a tool. They're explicitly inviting the global developer community to contribute. Reporting bugs, suggesting features, improving security, submitting actual code fixes or enhancements.
Yeah.
The GitHub repo is wide open.
That's a huge commitment. It really changes how a tool like this evolves, doesn't it? When you open it up globally, you get so many more eyes, more ideas, faster innovation than one company alone.
Absolutely. The power of community collaboration.
But okay, playing devil's advocate for a second. Open source is great for collaboration, but some might worry about, say, fragmentation or maybe security risks if contributions aren't checked carefully. How does Google handle that balance?
That's a very fair point and important. The Apache 2.0 license gives a solid legal framework. But beyond that, Google still has a core team. They curate contributions, they review the pull requests, they ensure code quality and security standards are met.
So it's managed open source, not a free-for-all.
Exactly. It balances getting that community innovation with maintaining the core product's integrity and security. And the transparency helps too. The community itself can help spot and address issues.
That makes sense. And you mentioned extensibility earlier, not just through code contributions, but things like MCP and customization.
Right. So beyond code, it's extensible through standards like MCP, but also through simpler things. Like you can use a Gemini.md file in your project folders to give it system prompts, specific instructions for that project.
Project-specific instructions.
Yeah, and there are settings for personal tweaks and even team configurations. It shows they recognize the terminal as a really personal space, right?
Very true.
And that users should be able to make it work exactly how they need it to. It empowers you to tailor the AI to your specific environment, your preferences. Makes it less of a generic tool, more like a bespoke assistant.
That's a really smart approach, putting that customization power in the user's hands. Now, connecting the dots, Google also has its bigger AI coding assistant, Gemini Code Assist. How does this new CLI thing relate? Are they separate or linked somehow?
They're very closely linked. They share the same core technology, actually, and are becoming deeply integrated. Think of Gemini Code Assist as the broader offering for students, hobbyists, pros, across different IDEs like VS Code. The key is that Gemini CLI and Code Assist are now unified on the back-end tech. In fact, Code Assist has this chat agent mode, especially in VS Code, that's really powerful.
How so?
It's a multi-step collaborative reasoning agent. It can build complex plans to achieve a coding task. It could automatically recover if one approach fails, and even recommend solutions you might not have thought of.
That sounds pretty advanced.
It is. And this agent mode, it's available at no extra cost for all the Code Assist plans, free, standard enterprise, if you use the Insiders channel.
So free users get that too?
Yep. So whether you're working in your terminal with Gemini CLI or in your IDE with Code Assist, you're tapping into that same powerful, intelligent AI backend. It provides a consistent experience wherever you prefer to work.
That sounds seamless, which is good. But being so integrated with Google's ecosystem, does that maybe raise flags for developers who prefer things more vendor agnostic? How does Google balance that deep integration with the open source part you talked about?
It's a good point to bring up. So while Gemini CLI obviously offers that deep integration with Google's AI for the best performance and that generous free tier, its open source nature, the Apache 2.0 license, means the community could theoretically develop alternative backends.
Oh, okay.
They could integrate it with other AI providers if they wanted to build that. The core product focuses on making Gemini models accessible and powerful in the terminal. But the license allows for community forks or extensions if people want to explore different model sources or more vendor-neutral integrations. It gives developers that choice and transparency.
Right. The license allows for that freedom. Okay, that clarifies things. So let's bring it all together. What does all this mean for our listener? Someone may be hearing this and thinking, okay, I want to try this. How easy is it to actually get started?
It means getting started is remarkably easy. Seriously. You just install Gemini CLI standard install process, then you log in with your Google account email address. That's
Just
it.
install and log in.
Yep. And boom, you've got practically unlimited use of Gemini right there in your terminal. It dramatically lowers the barrier to entry, puts these really advanced AI capabilities into the hands of pretty much anyone who's comfortable using a command line.
And that really is the game-changing part, isn't it? You suddenly have this incredibly powerful, versatile, super accessible AI agent right at your fingertips, nestled inside an environment that, for many of us, is already home to the command line. It streamlines your work, boosts your capabilities, and you don't need to be some AI guru to get going.
Exactly.
It feels like AI truly being democratized for the individual developer, the individual problem solver. No more wrestling with obscure commands, no more lost hours debugging, just, natural language making your terminal finally work for you.
That's the goal. Empowering every individual with advanced AI, right where they already work, turning those friction points into intuitive interactions.
So just to recap our deep dive today, Google's new Gemini CLI, it's a powerful, fully open source AI agent. It brings Gemini's full capabilities right into your terminal. It's got incredibly generous free usage for individuals, making it super accessible, and it's packed with features. Code understanding, file manipulation, command execution, dynamic troubleshooting.
A robust set.
Plus, it's deeply integrated with the broader Gemini Code Assist, giving you that consistent, powerful AI experience, whether you're in the terminal or your IDE.
A unified approach.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. When advanced AI capabilities, like the ones in Gemini CLI, become this accessible, this open, this customizable, right inside a familiar place like the command line, what new possibilities does that open up for individual creators, for problem solvers, for innovators? How might this start to shift our daily interactions with technology? How could it accelerate discovery, creativity, just at the individual level? Could it fundamentally change how we even think about solving problems in the digital world?
That's definitely something worth pondering.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive on 10,100,000 Labs. We'll continue exploring new information and tools with you next time.